Hello, this is part two of Are We Living in a Simulation? And my answer has to be it seems like it because of all the contradictions. There's like cascading contradictions that we have to face both internally and externally, which continually destabilize us and the environment we live in. So, the first, and I guess the basic contradiction has to be that uh, we have a human instinctual drive to survive, to succeed, to thrive, uh, and yet this inevitably is set against our conscious awareness of our own downward trajectory towards death and dying that strips us of all goods, chattels, relationships, and comfort from the body before unbirthing us back to whence we came. Now, you know, even that wouldn't be too bad. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad being unbirthed, being dying and losing everything. But unfortunately, we are all equipped with fear, with a huge amount of fear. We're equipped with an electrochemical tsunami generator in our heads, which is hooked up to an automatic, vivid, negative simulator slash imagination, which is on a hair trigger pulled whenever we confront the unknown. We are very frightened. We are terrified by the unknown. And guess what? We're surrounded by it. We will finally drop into it when the gooey bacteria machine that we're made of, which is also unknown to us and kind of icky and vaguely threatening, craps out and pitches us off the planet. Not only that, not only are we full of fear and surrounded by the very thing that triggers the fear, but we magnify the unknown to the detriment of ourselves and others, and it creates a destabilized world into which other destabilizing features, once introduced, have much more power to tip individuals, communities, and whole countries into turmoil. We don't know where we come from, where we're going, what we're going to do, how to do it, and why we should bother anyway. Again, look at the universe. It's so vast, inhospitable, and nasty looking. Why are there not planets close by that are inhabitable? Why is space likely to destroy our fragile flesh? Why have we never met alien races? These are boundaries that have been put on us. It's almost like someone designed the Earth to seem the most insignificant speck in a vast universe, with distances and facts like dark matter and infinity that we can postulate but not understand. Inside and outside is a vast unknown. So I say, well done, next level up simulants. You truly manufactured an intimidating setting and designed us to have a propensity for exquisite fear, anxiety, and depression so we can relish and have intimate experience with our own insignificance and irrelevance. Sounds a little destabilizing to me, but wait, there's more. So, I said earlier on that as simulants, we have to stick this out. We cannot exit. Or at least we shouldn't be able to easily exit. We can't get off this planet and go anywhere, we'll be destroyed. And the other exit that we have is death, of which we are terribly afraid. Now, before I go on, I remind you that this is through the lens of the simulation, of trying to understand if we are in a simulation. So I'm going to talk about suicide, but I offer my deepest condolences to all those families who have suffered a suicide. It's a difficult thing to talk about, and I do not do this lightly, but it does fit in with what I'm trying to understand. So why don't we just die off? Why don't we, or why haven't we, given the next generation a break by ourselves not being born or by just killing ourselves. Now, I'm not advocating mass suicide, but it's interesting. Why, once the human race became conscious, did it not just lay down and say, let's be generous and save future generations our pain and die off? Now, there are over 800,000 suicides a year, and every one of them generates upset and misery for those that are left. But suicide is not easy. Most of us are unable to contemplate or take this step, even in the face of severe torture and destabilization, because, of course, through the lens that we are looking through, this will bring the simulation to a premature end. So consider this. For those who do suicide, there is no joyful narrative. The programmers make sure, if they exist, through this lens, that the suicide generates an extremely emotional, negative and socially stigmatizing journey for all the family and friends. Suicide is frowned upon, abhorred, and often forbidden by cultures and religions, seen as a sin, waste of life and potential, and it's very, very upsetting and often devastating for close friends and relatives left behind. Compare it to killing others. Killing others is a sin and can generate extreme misery, but it also, in certain circumstances, more often probably, is seen as heroic. Killing others is rewarded. Suicide is never characterized as a heroic act of self-liberation in the face of life's torture. It's never applauded as courageous. There are no statues placed in parks of great suicides, no stirring songs of self-killings long gone by, or theme parties held to celebrate the passing. So, suicide is terribly tragic. But through the lens of a simulation, through the lens of how you would program the conscious inhabitants of a simulated world, you would program suicide to be like this, to have this nature, to have this impact. That's all I'm saying. And all I'm being is curious that, because it's like this, it does support the fact that we may be in a simulation. Tired of living, afraid of dying. A successful contradiction to destabilize the stimulants.